taking any action on them today.
Okay, we're opening the meeting at 1:01. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's nice to do that again, it is.
Oh, we do it all the time.
I thought you were commenting on our beautiful building. We will open the bids at this time for the Middle Road Culvert project. Okay. Well, are you familiar with these?
It's usually on, it's usually on, what, the second or third page? It's been a while since I've done these.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Well, when you have a whole lot of no money. It's not like we do this routinely. I think I'm kidding.
No, I know better.
Right, so this would be. Okay.
Let me just say that who the bidder is as well.
Okay.
I was wondering where you were. How you doing?
The first one is for Northern Construction Service, and the bid amount is $296,845.
296?
I'm sorry, what?
296,000?
$296,845.
And that's Northern Construction. I still don't know where that one is. I'll have to check the back page.
This is Western Mass Earthworks. Okay, this is Western Earthworks LLC. And I'm still trying to find, here we go. And the total base bid is $173,525. So it's Western Earthworks LLC, 173,525. Thanks, Jeff. This is Riffenberg Construction Contracting Corporation. And the total base bid is $143,240.
Excuse me.
Okay, the next one is Clayton Davenport Trucking Incorporated. And their total base bid is $137.
I like that.
$137,800. $137,800, and that's Clayton Davenport Trucking. is JH Maximilian Incorporated. And their total base bid is $163,385. $163,385, JH Maximilian. And this is Virgilio Construction Incorporated. And this is $128,550. That's Virgilio at $128,550. Okay, Carl, so that's all I need to do with that.
We went through all?
Yes.
Okay. So we can give the whole pile to Mark.
Okay.
We haven't get back to you guys.
Okay, Mark, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for your time.
So basically, we gotta check references and all of that stuff to make sure that they're all valid. And once we have a recommendation and that everybody is qualified to do so, then we will notify the low bidder and the other bidders of the decision.
Thank you.
Thank you all
Thank you.
very much.
Bye, guys.
Appreciate it. Talk to you later.
Great, thank you, Mark.
Okay, next on the agenda is to approve and sign warrants. We will have them here, we'll
Yeah,
do
do later.
that at the end. We got to appoint John Foster to the Board of Directors.
So, at our annual meeting of the Clarksburg Water District, not unlike the town, we're broke and have no staff. We've done 2 elections. We're really not qualified to do that with the staff we have. So we voted at our annual meeting to amend our bylaws and have the select board appoint the commissioners to the Clarksburg Water District, and so that is why this is before you today. So it's basically, so John has indicated an interest to serve. We have an opening after Debbie Lapine left to move to Georgia. So that's the process. We would like to, it's going to be smoother, quicker, and we won't have to deal with elections at the Clarksburg Water District. So it is a recommendation from the commissioners, in addition to the edit to our bylaw, that the board appoint John. So if you're comfortable with that, then if you appoint him, then we're going to have a full complement on the Clarksburg Water District.
Sounds good. Any questions?
Absolutely. No, John's a good man. I like John.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve John Foster to the Briggsville Water District Board of Commissioners.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is town hall repairs.
Good God. So we met with the insurance adjuster and the contractors. We did select, we're not going back with carpeting because if it happens again, and we're going to do our darndest to armor the town hall against water infiltration. But obviously, the events of July 10th were rather significant for the town. And the damages actually went up. The initial projection was $45,000, and it is now at $51,000. Thank God, at least this is insured. So, unlike our roads, but I digress. So, due to supply chain issues and stuff like that, they have to order the vinyl product, which is going to be a genuine imitation floor that looks like wood, and that is and I brought the staff together, to make sure everybody was comfortable with the selection and things of that nature, which we did. So they're going to start the week after next with a good tailwind. And they're going to also start the sheet rocking. So our plan is to, while Maryland is operating in the debris field, we'll have them do the treasurer and tax collector's office to keep them, away. And if they finish there, then they're going to be in this room. And then when Maryland goes home at noontime, then they'll move over to that area so that they're not underfoot, pun intended, while she's here. So, and as soon as so we're anticipating that probably within a month we should be made whole again. I have individually, gone around the building with you, and then not too long ago with you, of things that we can do to reduce the water infiltration to the building. Just find out how we're going to pay for it, but one miracle at a time. So that's kind of where we are in the process of bringing the town hall back up to full functionality. I do want to extend my thank you to the residents and users of the building for their patience in using alternative methods to get into the building. We had to move everybody, with the exception of Maryland, upstairs because of the flood damage. And the response has been good, in that people have been patient with the changes, understanding. Well, you can see, just look around you. So we are moving forward on that.
Yeah, and we're gradually working on trying to solve issues so it doesn't happen again.
Yes.
Okay, have we heard anything? The next on the agenda is NEMA and FEMA responses to all the damage that we have from the July 10th storm.
No.
Have we heard? We haven't heard anything.
Not a thing. And I've reached out, did get an email from the governor's office this morning, but they declared an emergency for the farmers and allocated $20 million for the farmers who were damaged in the same storm, but that does nothing for the town. It has not been declared an emergency by either the governor or the president, and so it causes me great concern. And the longer this goes on, the greater my concern goes. And just understanding the finances of the town. We have no money. I think we have $1,000 in stabilization. That's it. It's all the money we have. So there's only two ways out of this, and one is aid from the government, from NEMA or FEMA, or borrow our way out of it. We have $1.88 million in damages. And we're at our levy limit. So if we were to fix this, it would require either a debt exclusion or a Proposition 2.5 override, which also includes a ballot. Failing that, I've had extensive discussions with the Department of Revenue, and they're basically also on the same page. I did initially on the 10th of July fill out a request for deficit spending, which would have to be made up on the recap. Well, we're not going to have $2 million on the recap. That's just not there. So that's not going to happen. But I did not submit it because they want a dollar value, and so I probably have had multiple discussions with the Department of Revenue, and they're very patient, very knowledgeable, very sympathetic to our plight, but they don't have the control of the purse strings, so there's a whole lot of nothing they can do. So,
How do we know when it's over with? How do we know when we just don't hear anything from MEMA? I mean, how long do we wait?
well, the other complicating issue is that Mike is our EOC, our Emergency Operations Coordinator, and he is on vacation. So I am hopeful, somewhat hopeful, that maybe there is some movement in his absence. So I will not know that until Monday.
I mean, so is it work usually like MEMA granted the farmers the $20 million, you know?
No, that MEMA didn't do that. The government did. The state of Massachusetts,
Okay.
out of their own pocket, did that.
So we could be next.
You are the optimist.
I'm just saying.
Well, and then the other thing is that if you look at the storms that are just ravaged in tornadoes, there were 3 of them on the other side, I think Needham and.
Yep.
So I don't know the other ones, but these storms are repetitively hitting New England and specifically Massachusetts, whether it's a tornado or flood or wind-driven torrential rain. These are events that are obviously beyond our control. I am intending on contacting the Department of Revenue for lack of another option to put some Bailey bridges up so that, because it's not fine wine, it's not going to get better with time. And my concern, especially for West Road, that's a single point access road. And not only for the residents of Clarksburg, but also for some residents in our neighboring community of Stamford, Vermont. And to push that landslide area through the winter, I think that the landslide is only going to get bigger. And there's a whole lot of no room there now. There's barely enough. I don't even know if we're going to have enough to get a snowplow through there in the winter, and I'm worried. So I will follow up with Mike to see if there is any update from MEMA. I will share that individually with the select board members once I know. But that's kind of where we are. We're in a holding pattern.
Okay, and so people know at home too, but West Road, like you said, we don't know if we get snowplow through. That's something that really has to be addressed by winter somehow.
Yes.
And the estimate is $840,000 to repair that area, which of course, that's why we're waiting for NEMA and FEMA. We just don't have that kind of money. But hopefully by next meeting, we'll have some answers and have to make some decisions on what to do, because
We're going to have to make some decision.
Yep.
You know, we can Band-Aid some of the other stuff, I mean, we're good at it because we have no money. And that's sadly the situation that we find ourselves in.
all right, we'll go to 8, which is town road repairs.
Okay, so we have affected some road repairs as a result of the storm. So we've replaced the culvert on Upper Horgan Road. And that's about $28,000, which is our annual road maintenance budget. So we're not in a deficit situation yet. And just sliding a little bit back to the DOR, when they contacted me that I hadn't submitted the authority request to deficit spend, there's a segment as asking how much that we intended to deficit spend. Well, we need $1.9 million. Understanding that the town's complete budget is $2 million, and that would have to be made up on the recap. Well, there's not going to be $2 million in the recap. That's not happening. So after talking to DOR, they said, well, submit it anyways and put the whole amount in there, which I did, and I did submit it. Because we are technically still under a state of emergency, flows from the water now to the budget, still state of emergency.
Yeah, and we can still, like Gleason Avenue, for example, or Horgan Road, for example.
You could go on and on.
We can continue with repairs and hoping that we'll get reimbursement. I mean, it's like we aren't stopping any work. Waiting for MEMA, or do we have to wait?
We have to wait.
Okay.
And the thing is, they may not come through with anything.
Right.
That's entirely possible.
That's what I'm worried
Fearful
about,
of.
if we could get started.
So the Department of Revenue told me that, put in the 1.9 million, and it does not obligate the town just to spend 1.9 million, which, that was my great concern. So I did take care of that, and that's kind of where we are, and it's not a pleasant place to be.
Okay, well, we'll revisit it. Next is the ADA grant application.
Yeah, that's an interesting little one.
Buildings.
Okay, so on the 13th of July, I went through and I completed the application for the engineering for the running slopes, cross slopes, egress and ingress approaches for all of the town's facilities, and the creation of a handicap accessible walkway from the basketball court around to the Peter Cook Memorial Plaque and the Christmas tree to the pavilion and to the bleachers. So that would be a new creation, but it also, like, we have, some sidewalks that are, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 inches too tall to allow for the slopes that they require. So this grant is to engineer what we're wanting to do. So then once we have engineering in place for next year, then we can go for the grant to actually do the work. So this is just for the engineering. So when I submitted the grant on the 13th, and it's harder than it should be, so it times out after 40 minutes. I was very mindful not to be away from the computer for 40 minutes, and I hit submit, and I wasn't comfortable because I got no confirmation it was submitted. So I sent on the 13th of July, I sent an email to the ADA MOD people, and to confirm that they received the grant application. I did not get a response until yesterday, and no, they did not. So I came in early this morning, and that was the first thing I did. Got it all out, got it submitted, and I got a receipt.
Oh, okay.
And that's a silly way to run an application process, in my humble opinion.
Okay, the school list for the school.
So we got all of everything that Garvanta needs, and I did send them, because we had a fiscal year 23 prevailing wage schedule, which is probably, 100 pages long. And just as a safety measure, after the beginning of fiscal year 24, I got another one from the state, and I sent it, and I specifically requested, if you need anything further, let me know. Have not heard a thing.
Okay.
Nothing. So I have to assume they have everything they need. I know Tom Bona is working diligently on, because we need a permit from the Architectural Access Board, and part and parcel of that is getting some of the particulars from Garvanta. So that's kind of where we are right now.
Okay, and Garvante, we don't have a schedule from them.
No, we do not.
So we gotta, I don't know.
I
know how
don't
we can find
see.
them, but
Yeah, we founded them, and it could be supply chain issues. I would just like to
well,
know.
no, but they should,
They should be more on top of it. Yes, I
and they
agree.
should let us know, because we wanted that in there before school started. Obviously, that's not going to happen, but they're still going to have to plan either during like a Thanksgiving vacation, Christmas vacation.
Well,
at
in
the center,
discussing it with Tom and I believe Sandy, but everything is a mush right now. It's only going to take a couple of days. It's
Yeah.
not a horribly involved process.
Right.
So there is the possibility of doing it during work days,
Okay.
if you will. And it might be somewhat disruptive. Maybe they can do a field trip or move some class. I think they would only need to move 2 classrooms, if at all.
Okay. But the big thing then is that
stay on top of them.
Well, yeah, and to make sure they give us a schedule and that they have everything. I want to make sure, you know how it is. They'll say we're holding them up.
Yeah,
And,
well,
the school and then the contractor, and it's like, all right, what's holding up this process?
yeah,
Let's get a schedule here. We want to know what's going on. And I don't know how. The only way is to keep calling them, and they're not returning your calls. So I don't know if you need to send them a registered letter or what. But, okay, thank you. Next is setting up a meeting with our or Senator Paul Mark. I know September 11th was a possibility, and I was not going to be around, but I am now. I
yes,
sent you an
and that's a
email.
good thing.
So
So it's my understanding it will be September 11th. So I did reach out to the good senator's office to firm up a time, and so I'm just waiting to hear back on that.
okay,
And so that would be good. And people should understand relative to Senator Mark's situation. So there's 351 communities in the Commonwealth, and his district has 57 of those communities. And he does a great job, and he has the energy, but good God, he's got 57 communities that he has to understand the trials and tribulations that we are experiencing here in Western Massachusetts. And it seems that there needs to be a better way, because I'm sure that there are representatives and senators in Boston who serve one neighborhood in order to get to the same population level there's 134,000 people in all of Berkshire County.
okay.
There's more people in the city of Springfield than there are in the whole Berkshires, just as an example. And then you get into Boston, it's even
No,
more
that
dense.
way, like there's 40 senators, and like he's one senator, like 1/6 of
Commonwealth.
the Commonwealth, and I don't know how he does it.
Yeah.
It's definitely a bad system. But you're right. Other senators can concentrate on one town or one area and go for it. And for him just to come to each town, it would take months. I mean,
Yes.
get their issues. So, but I'm glad and I appreciate getting a meeting with him because we definitely have some issues that we need to talk to him and need his help on. Millard Avenue.
Okay, so Cleve and Kyle did a rather extensive walk up the drainage area, runoff areas of Millard Avenue, all the way to Pine Ave. Because there had been some rumors of things, and doesn't appear that anything has been disturbed. There are certain types of wetlands, and that's not my particular area of expertise. But one thing that did come out of it is that those wetlands that absorb excess rainwater are still full. So it
The water
appears that
tables
it's very high.
is high.
So, and no footprints, deer tracks and stuff like that were there. So it would appear that it's an act of Mother Nature. Kyle has met and conveyed that to North Adams. And Clarksburg and North Adams have agreed to work together on doing what we can to do what we can on Millard Avenue. And part of it's in Clarksburg and part of it's in North Adams. And, we certainly want to work together to solve the problem. And Dan and myself will be meeting with a homeowner
Okay.
on tomorrow at 4 o'clock.
Okay.
And
And I understand that there was an issue with the drainage between the homeowner's house and whatever. There was a drainage area or a ditch that was just filled up. I understand that was cleared,
well, not by us.
by a resident.
See, here's the thing, and we've had requests from homeowners to go onto private property and repair their infrastructure, and we can't do that. It's illegal for one thing. We're sympathetic to their plight. But at the same time, and how I would liken it to everybody is, there we have a lot of trees. And during the snowstorm in March, the 3-footer, we lost a lot of trees. And as sympathetic as we are to that event, we cannot go on private property and clean up your trees. Nor can we go on your property and fix your gullies or your drainage ditches that we do not have an interest in, or an easement in, or an ownership interest in. And and it'll kind of segue nicely into when we get to the MVP. But we're going through the municipal vulnerability program, and part of that is to address these issues, and there will have to be some easements granted in that program. And we understand that, and the grant will be paying for that, not the town. But we need to armor the town and maybe reach out and educate. On October 8th of 2005, we got 9 inches of rain in 12 hours. And if anybody knows where I live, I have a very steep clay hill behind my house. And my basement took on 3.5 feet of water. And so I had to dig a moat around my house. I didn't ask the town to come and do it. I did it myself. The only assistance that I got, and I was grateful for, is the fire department did pump my cellar out. Mm-hmm. That's it. Cleaning the area, the town has a right of way, but that doesn't mean we own it. And there is a difference between a right of way and what we own. And the right of way doesn't mandate that we do certain things. It means that we have the ability and or the right to maintain it. And all of our roads are rights of way.
Right. And even during the storm, I had a couple people call me because they had big trees fall on their lawn and stuff. They wanted to know if the town could come up and help them. And I said, unless it's in the, blocking the road or whatever.
Yeah, that's it. We can't.
We can't, because otherwise we'd be helping everybody. All right, let's move on to the Middle Road culvert. We just
Okay.
had
We just did the bid opening, you guys see, and I think how absolutely obscene those numbers are. I mean, we're talking a culvert that is about 13 inches in diameter, more or less, kind of, sort of. For $128,000 is the low bid. Can you believe it? That's an eighth of $1,000,000. I'm
baffled.
I'm floored.
And I mean,
And how do they expect us to ever fix anything?
well, our Chapter 90 funds are
We get 75 grand a year.
75,000.
And we have to save it for half a decade to get anything meaningful done. I mean, so we would have to save up for 2 years to buy one culvert. Really?
That was 90,000 we're thinking.
That was the estimate from the engineering. And I'm just fearful of what Middle Road grant is going to come in at. Because we only have $1 million.
Yeah.
Is that sad or what?
Yeah.
It goes to right to the core of the issue. Crux of the issue is that we have no money and the prices are outrageous.
Right.
Enough said there.
And the roads are a mess everywhere.
Cheer up, things could be worse, and they cheered up, and sure enough, things got worse.
All right, Mass Works update and the 225th committee update. They're two separate things, right?
Okay, so Mass Works update, we should be going to bid, I believe, I want to say the 27th, but don't hold me to that. We have to do a site visit, and I'm thinking that's next week. Then we'll have the bidding opening just like we did here for the culvert. And hopefully it'll come in within what we're what we got for the grant, which was maxed out at $1 million.
Right.
So what we did is originally we had intended on having the new guardrails as part of the grant. We used the winter wrap money to do that instead, to take pressure off of the grant. this culvert we're doing, we're using Chapter 90 money
Yep.
to take pressure off of the grant.
Yep.
And, you know, we're trying really hard to stay within the bounds of the grant. And I don't know if we're going to be successful. I was talking with Kyle, and he was talking to Mark, and the grants, the bid openings that we're seeing. 2 years ago, a ton of blacktop was $80. Now it's $167. That is horrible. That's not good at all. And if need be, we may have to cut some of the grant.
We want to go from Route 8 to Woods Road, and we may be able to go to Horgan Road. If that.
With a good tailwind.
We'll start at Route 8 and just go as far as we can until we run out of money. That's the plan.
And, you know, we want to replace the culverts, and, you know, we kind of have a policy to upsize our culverts because of climate change and the significant increase in volumes of water, that the culverts need to be upsized. And, you know, 10% is like our minimum goal, understanding there are times when the topography and the geography conspire against you, so you can't get it bigger, unless you're going to have a bunch of speed bumps through town. So we're going to say a prayer and hope that things work out, and we will keep you posted.
Yeah, we just do the best we can.
Colonel, how is Oregon Road holding up?
We haven't paved the upper culvert.
I
We did
mean, we
replace
did pave it a few years back. Is it?
Not as good. Not as good.
So all these bids are coming in for Colden Place.
They will be. The mass works, because this one is going to be a patch, you know, so that we're going to pave the Colden Place over it. But as an
Get much
example,
more mileage out of mixing.
Colden Place is the way to go, in my opinion.
Right, but you get a lot less.
You do,
Yeah,
it's more
half.
expensive.
Right.
So what they do with Colden Place versus mill and fill, so mill and fill, they go and it's kind of like a,
Well, that's what we did in Oregon Road.
yeah, and we did that about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's showing signs of
Yeah,
decay
we
already.
walk up there all the time, my wife.
Cracking
And
and
then the shoulders are.
So it's not worth it to go mill and fill on,
if you have a robust budget, maybe. We don't. If you look at West Cross Road, where the school and the senior community center is, DPW, we did that in 2016.
Yeah.
And what the mill and fill, like I said, was like an egg beater. You grind it all up and then you pave over that, which is really typical, and you can lay down more blacktop, but it's not very durable. Colden Place is that they grind it up, they heat it up, they reuse it, but they also add Portland cement to the mix, and then they fog seal, and then they lay that that new mixture, plus it's recycling the old stuff too. And it's very durable. And if you look at West Cross Road, which is like 2 or 3 years older than Horgan Road, there's no cracks, there's no settling, there's no potholes, and it has stood the test of time. I think that's the way to go, because it's not like the town of Clarksburg can just repave a road every 5 years. We're lucky if we get it every 20.
oh, it just seems like you're getting so much less road paved.
It is, and that's the sad reality of it. And you know, here's another issue that I brought up with our elected officials, is that part of our Chapter 90 allocation, road miles, population, and employment. Well, now this trend to work from home, how are they accounting for that? If you're not working in Boston and you're working in Clarksburg with a computer, are we getting credit for that type of a thing? And nobody seems to have an answer. I don't know.
No, the thing is, we want it, you know, there's certain areas like that, eastern part of Middle Road that really does need to be put in place because
Yeah,
of
it
the
does.
culverts and the issue.
And there's a lot of water in that
There
area.
is a lot of water. I think the lower end, we can do a mill and fill, but it definitely, I always looked at over the last few years, it seems like politicians and stuff, they want to get the road black. They want to pave as much as possible so it looks good. But you can't do this every 5 years, like Carl says. It's better off to
I mean,
do half of it and do it
some of the
right.
other roads are horrendous as well.
Crossroad is awful.
Oh my God, you know,
Hilton Street.
you can go through the whole town of Clarksburg.
You can.
Well, you know what, it would be easier to say which roads are in good condition, because.
West Crossroad.
And school and Gleason, you know,
Yeah,
they,
that's the,
Yeah.
the school in Gleason, that was Mill and Phil, wasn't it?
I wasn't here for that, so I have to assume so.
Because I was just on those roads, they're in pretty good shape. I don't know, it just seems like such a big amount of money for such a small amount of paving for, you know, with the cold in place.
You know, and here's another thought. You know, we did the Gates Avenue Bridge in 16, and it originally came in at $750 because we were required by DEP to do an open bottom culvert and have to build a $300,000 throwaway bridge because you have to wait for the
I remember
concrete
that.
to settle. And I got really I fought that for 4 years, 2 years as select board chair, 2 years as administrator, and finally I wrote Governor Baker a 3-page letter describing the plight of our town. And he responded, and he changed that and allowed us to do a submerged culvert, if you will, a box culvert that was embedded so that the creepy crawlers could get up there without getting wet. I don't know. And that allowed us to not have to do the throwaway bridge, and it brought the cost down from $700,000+ down to $346. And you know, it's common sense. It's common sense. We have a whole lot of no money.
Okay, update for 225th. We had a committee meeting last week. Everything's going good. It's going to be a big project, which everyone knows, but I'll just repeat a little bit that the fire department, the school, the MVP program, the senior center, Mass Saves is going to have a booth. There are going to be booths around that people can go and talk to people. There will be hands-on for kids for the fire truck. I'm also in communication with Mark Bailey. We're trying to set up maybe a K9 show, which they have, and they have an armored vehicle. There's still a lot up in the air, but it is all coming together. I would say in the next couple of weeks we're going to know exactly what's going to be there, and I'll bring here to let you know. We've raised $1,475 so far, and we have more money that should be coming in. So we're hoping that we don't have to take any town money to run the event. We'll take the money we don't have. We will get by on what we raise. So we won't be taking any town money. Any questions on that?
I think it's a good idea.
Just
you know,
put the date out and where, so.
The date is September 9th from 11 to 6. And there'll be a rain, that's a Saturday. There will be a rain date for Sunday. We're hoping it doesn't rain, of course, but if it
that's on
does,
Townfield.
we will have, at Townfield. And we will have things that we've already committed to, that we have money for. We're going to have a rock climbing wall. We're going to have a bouncy house. And we're going to have entertainment, the band straight up from 2:30 to 5. And we're going to have vendors for like food trucks or whatever there. We're still working on that. The school is going to put on games and activities for kids. So there'll be a lot going on. And I think it will be a great time for everybody.
And the historical commission, they're going to be there, and the MVP component is going to be there too.
Yes, yeah. No. So anybody wants to know about the MVP and how we're going to try to get the water away from Townfield in the Four Corners area, that'll all be explained there. There's going to be people manning the booth, plus Courtney from Berkshire Regional Planning will be here, and we'll explain everything. Okay, MVP update.
Well, it's, you know, they've worked hard, and, you know, hopefully we have some good news at some point to share. But I think that, you know, the committee, as well as Courtney Morehouse from Berkshire Regional Planning, have all contributed tremendously to the effort. and it's basically to respond to climate change in effect. And it's rather interesting. A lot of the areas that were identified in our MVP plan are the ones that flooded and got destroyed in the rainstorm.
No, we were right on with the meetings, and even early on 3 years ago, it started with the hazard mitigation program, and a lot of work has gone into an effort. But they also are looking into, there is a meeting coming up, it's not going to be until September, but about the erosion over here where the dam was taken out on Carson Avenue. So the MVP people are part of that with Berkshire Regional Planning. So we're doing the best we can to get money and to pay attention to these things. It's just everything takes time. All right, down to new assessor.
I thought when I came back in December of 21 that it would take about a year to get fully staffed, and I have been proven to be wrong. So it's been solidly 21 months, and we are finally there. So the last component, we have hired Emily Schilling, who is a certified, qualified assessor. And she will be starting the week after next. I am delighted beyond anything you can contemplate. I was the interim assessor unpaid because I have the credentials, but I kind of have my hands full with my other job. And we were referred to her by the Department of Revenue, and I would like to thank Rochelle, our administrative assistant, in her discussions with DOR, was able to move that forward. And so I think we're in a much better place than we were. I would also like to thank our employees for all of their work and patience.
Yeah, thank you, Rashad. Everybody? No, we definitely have come a long way in the last year. We got a good crew here at Town Hall, and we just keep going after these grants and try to get things straightened out. Let's see. I guess that was it for that. Yes, that's all we need to know. Okay. Going to adjourn the meeting at 1:49. Thank you all.
I'm amazed that we got through this that quickly.